What if I told you that how we market today is different than how we've done it in the past? And marketing is no longer just business for those big corporations. Marketing is something that every little business, mom and pop shop, nonprofit, and individuals can get in on and benefit. But what's the secret? What's the key to it? Gorden Voit, a content creator, marketing specialist, and former sports journalist, is going to join us to talk about those questions and more. That's all coming up right here, right now. I'm Sam Chen, and this is Face the Issues. Good evening and welcome to Face the Issues. I'm Sam Chen. Before, we've always thought about marketing and content creation as something that these large corporations pay a lot of money to do, and that stereotype isn't exactly wrong. But increasingly, with the rise of social media and with phones now being the top way we access the press and the news and media, content creation and marketing is quickly becoming something that everybody does, from nonprofits to mom and pop shops to individuals. So what's the secret behind marketing? Why has it shifted so much? And how can it help you in your individual life or your small business or nonprofit? We're joined by Gorden Voit. He is a former sports journalist and anchor, a sports agent, a digital creator, digital marketer, content creator extraordinaire, and he joins us here tonight. Gorden, welcome to Face the Issues.
Thank you so much, and I'm proud of you. You got through my 17 different random titles, and you made me sound way cooler than I really am. So thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great for you to be here.
Oh man, it's great in person, in the flesh.
Yeah.
Feel it, in the flesh.
So
I'm super passionate about this. I think about this all day long. This has been, my life's work has been figuring out how do you leverage video in a way that serves people and gets great results. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. And a lot of what we're seeing, a lot of the trends recently, these last several years, is that this is available to anybody. And so if there's one takeaway I want everybody at home to have, it's that when you say the word content on the news and everybody's talking about social media and its positives, its negatives, it's scary, it's a great thing, it's a tool. It's a moral neutral. It could be leveraged for great things, it can be leveraged for bad things. We'll probably get into that a little later. But I just want you, if you're seeing this episode and you're like, how is this for me? This is absolutely for you. Every single person can leverage content to help them meet their goals.
Gorden, you've been in journalism a long time. I mean, that's what you went to school for. You were a sports journalist, you were a sports anchor, a Heisman Trophy voter, part of the trust there, and you've done so much. You do content work now for a fire equipment company, right? So this has really been your wheelhouse. How have you seen it shift over the years? I mean, so much of journalism for what you were doing was telling stories. It's what you're doing with your group 3D Athlete, is telling stories. How have you seen that shift from what we think about with traditional advertising marketing into a lot of the stuff that you do now?
The shift in the industry has been nothing short of radical since I entered into it to now. My old boss, who started working in the 60s, said, he chuckled and he's like, the honest truth is that I saw the rise and the fall of an industry.
Oh, wow.
And that was in television. And so I kind of came at the end of that, the last phase of his career. His name's Ted Dawson. He's a wonderful man, dear mentor and friend of mine. And I came in at the tail end of kind of what I would call the TV era. So, okay, what are the hallmarks of the old way? Frankly, media outlets were gatekeepers. It was, I have the tools to reach a large amount of people, and you don't. I have a printing press to print out a bunch of newspapers, and then a bunch of boys wearing those old-timey hats are going to throw them on bicycles,
Newsies.
right? Newsies, exactly. Yeah. The barrier to entry to reach the public was very high. You have to own a printing press, own a radio antenna, own a television station and equipment. Nowadays, that barrier to entry has been obliterated. And so that has a lot of implications. And what I'm seeing is when I first entered in, there was very much a sense of, oh, I'm a TV journalist and what I do is way different from what you do at home. I've got way different equipment. I can reach way more people than you can. The tables have turned now. And so what we're seeing is that the old way, now you have the most sophisticated publishing tool in human history available to every single person in the palm of their hand. And so, yeah, we could dig into all the different ramifications of that. But basically, it's democratized information sharing. And recently, what we've seen is that people don't want it to look airbrushed. That's been the major shift that's happened, a paradigm shift with media, is that it used to be you only had credibility if it looked polished, if you had the beautiful network graphics at the bottom. And what happened is people are on to those tricks, and people do not want to be sold to. I work up with dealers that come into our company about this all the time. For the first time in human history, nobody has to sit through your ads. So if you try to force feed a message to somebody, guess what? They've got 4 of their screens in front of them. They can walk out of the room. And so for the first time in human history, people don't have to listen to your messaging. So and they are distrusting of when it looks too airbrushed.
Yeah.
They don't want to be sold to. They want authentic, and they want it to deliver value.
Could you argue that even the big corporations that we're talking about, they've gotten this for a while, and the evidence I'm going to throw at you here is Super Bowl ads, right? Where everybody can walk away. Why is it that we don't walk away from Super Bowl ads? In fact, there's people who, that's the only pre-Taylor Swift era, that's the only football they would watch.
Totally.
But when it's just a regular Eagles versus Giants game, they're going to walk away during the commercials, they're going to change the channel.
Yep.
But the Super Bowl ads are a different caliber. So, I mean, it seems like those large corporations have kind of known this for a while, that the content that they're delivering is actually going to make a difference.
You hit it on the head right there. The answer to your question is the difference between content and advertising. There's a major difference. What is that difference? Advertising is buy now and you get 20% off, one time only, plenty of free parking. Nobody wants that.
It's the used car ad on the radio.
Exactly. So what you have to do is, and honestly, like as a Christian, I would like to think this permeates every aspect of my life, but how can I help somebody reach their goals? How can I serve this person? And so if you as a brand, or whether you're running a church bake sale or you have a car dealership, you need to stop thinking about buy now, advertising, and you need to pivot to content. Content is all about helping people. It's all about educating them, giving them value of some kind. So you bring up the Super Bowl example. Why do those ads get eyeballs, whereas the average car commercial doesn't? It's because you get value from watching that. You leave laughing. That is intangible value that you're giving to somebody. So in my job, I work for a manufacturing company. Instead of saying, hey, we're having 20% off our nozzles for firefighters, it's, hey, there's a lot of problems that you enter when you're going into a burning basement and there's a family screaming. Here's some tactical solutions, different ways you might approach that problem, and allow us to help you by educating you on some of those solutions. You see the pivot there? Yeah. Advertising to content is one of the greatest revolutions of our generation.
Yeah, that's so interesting. This is something that, I mean, would you say that companies have picked up on this? That,
totally.
Again, those major companies it's still called marketing, but they're starting to shift from a straight ad line toward a more content-driven marketing?
So when I work with folks on this, it's, okay, don't take my word for it. Look at your Facebook Reels. Look at the highlights that they showed, the highest performing posts. None of them are advertising. It's all super duper authentic, that was shot on a cell phone, and it delivers value. And so you might say, okay, Gordon, well, your marketing stuff looks like it was shot on a cell phone because you don't have the budget of Tide. Well, actually, Sam Chen, fascinating that Tide has a $100 million advertising budget. And they're one of many companies that do this. And they could do anything in the world. They could hire James Cameron to produce their glossy commercial. What do? They put black bars on the edge of their videos. And so on broadcast TV, they put the vertical video to make their ads look like somebody shot it with a cell phone. So we have to ask ourselves, if Tide with a $100 million marketing budget is trying to make their commercials look like I shot them on my cell phone, or my Aunt Holly shot them on her cell phone, what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that that's what's working, reaching customers. If you want to reach people in 2024, you will produce authentic content because, frankly, people don't want to be sold to. So if the big guys are doing it, that is, evidence that this is not only a theory, but really happening.
Yeah, and that's the other question I was going to go to is why is this shift happening? I mean, obviously, let's just talk business for a moment.
Yeah.
In the business stuff, they really react to the consumers, right? They react to the people who are going to be buying their product, they're buying their services.
Yep.
So is this something where the demand has finally gotten to, we want to see things that are authentic, where we want some value out of an ad as opposed to just being told what the sale is? Like, why this shift lately?
Truly. So essentially, the shift has happened, because people, I don't think people ever wanted to be advertised to, and we're just, technology enables to bypass that messaging. And so the shift we're seeing is that people want to go on a self-guided journey through the buying process. And so, like I said, whether you're trying to recruit people for the church bake sale and you have no training whatsoever, or whether you're a big brand like Tide, you can participate in this. And I think it's important to understand that nobody wants to just be given the hard facts, sign on the dotted line, an ultimatum. The famous example is a used car salesman. Nobody wants to be sold that way. People want to, and a lot of folks at home have heard of the marketing funnel. So it's a funnel, that guides a customer from, I'm aware of you, to I want to decide. So It's shaped like a funnel like that. And so your job, if you're participating in content, is just reach people at the top. That's a wide group of people. Not everybody's going to buy, but how do you serve the needs of people in the wide top of the funnel? And then that's the awareness piece, right? So you need to become aware. You need to get people to voluntarily give you their attention. Then they start deciding, okay, I have this problem. Is this the right solution for it? So that's when you get into things more like benefits and features. So if you're a small business, that's when you talk about, okay, you can have these options on this product. You can buy this configuration. People want to hear more technical information. And then they will perhaps make the decision, which is the bottom of the funnel of the 3 phases. And then they will want to get into more of a purchasing situation. But if you're starting there, you've lost your customer. You need to start at the top.
That makes good sense. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the logistical things with social media and the digital stuff in the era that we're in right now. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Face the Issues is produced and recorded in the studios of Lighthouse TV. Positively different. Watch Lighthouse TV wherever you go. Available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. You can view our in-house studio productions on demand, or watch what's on the station right now with our 24/7 live stream. Search Lighthouse TV online on your streaming device, or go to our website for more information. Visit lighthousetv.org to stay connected. There you can find out what's currently on the air and coming up. How to watch in your area on cable, satellite, broadcast, or streaming devices. Watch past programs or our live stream. Follow us on social media and learn more about the station, our hosts, and our programming. Lighthouse TV, positively different.
Welcome back to Face the Issues. Gorden, I want to pick up where we left off and kind of get into the logistical side of this. You really explained well this idea of content and why content is so important. And it's beyond just an advertisement, right? There's a lot of this seems to have shifted because of how we deliver our messages. To your point earlier, it used to be the press was the gatekeepers, and increasingly now with digital media and accounts, and anybody can get a message out there. We hear that a lot, and yet there are obviously those who are going to have larger followings by nature, right? And so an actor, an athlete is going to have a larger following by nature. By Tom Brady has a larger following than you and I do, right? There's no way that
so
we're
far.
so far.
The story's not over, Sam.
But even people who cover news, like Anderson Cooper on CNN, who have a larger following than you or I are. But there are others who can kind of build their following on digital. How has the introduction of digital media really shifted this approach?
With regards to
this drive toward content and no longer needing kind of the gatekeeper, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, it's basically anybody with a cell phone can reach somebody. So we were talking before we started rolling, and it's if you want to reach another person, whether you're an accountant, political consultant, an athlete, you're an ice cream shop down the street, this is how people want to be reached. And therefore, this is how you should be reaching people. And one of the biggest, you brought up the technological side, one of the biggest pivots has been from this to this. That might seem like a very small tweak, but when I started in TV, it was all about how do we make really nice looking professional horizontal videos, because people's screens were by and large their TVs.
Right.
Maybe their iPad, but pretty much their TVs. We've shifted, and then basically, you'd be like, okay, I'll do my leftover. I would do a story, for example, that would get picked up by ESPN. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna send in this nice horizontal shot like this, and then with my leftover time at the end of the night, I'll post it on social media. We've pretty much flipped now, where when we get up to 40x the viewership when we post a successful reel on our phones.
Interesting. For
my manufacturing marketing job, than we do on YouTube in a horizontal format. And so the revolution is that people hold their phones vertically.
Yeah.
They do not like to hold them horizontally.
Those are weird.
Hey, I used to do that. But basically, you have more real estate if you shoot vertically, because it takes up your whole screen. Whereas if you post a horizontal video on a cell phone, we've all seen this, it'll be in the middle and then there's black bars at the top. And so I'd encourage you, if you're a small business owner and you're looking to reach customers in your area, shoot authentic moments vertically and see what happens. I work with people on taking baby steps, or dealers that are selling our equipment. And what we're seeing is that they are shocked with the amount of leads they get from doing this. And so I'd encourage you, even if you don't have a journalism degree, everybody's got a cell phone. And here's the other objection I hear. Oh, well, I'm not a content guy. I wouldn't know what to do. To quote the great Sherman Potter from MASH, horse hockey. Okay? You do know what to do, because guess what? Life is content.
Yeah.
Content, when you see that term, is not about concocting something that you can then act a certain way and then post that for the world to see. No, content is exactly what we've been doing since the beginning of time to now, except we're just capturing it now. So a lot of these people are in sales that I work with, and they say, that's for our media team, that's for our marketing department. And I say, well, hold on, time out. You're making content every day. Every single time you pick up the phone and you offer a tip, you ask a question, you share a strategy, you share a story with a customer. I just named 4 types of reels that you could be making that could take 30 seconds to make. And as I just explained earlier in previous segment, people don't want it to look airbrushed. So if you're like, oh man, I'm not good with the phone, fine. Pivot it around, talk to the camera, or show something about your business. Record it, just post 15-second snippets. And you will be shocked, because what we've found is, in our research, is that people love it if they can feel like they know you before meeting you. That builds trust. And so, we had one of our sales team members try this, and he calls back and he goes, hey, I shared a video ahead of the meeting, and I showed up and the customer said it felt like the 3rd meeting.
Wow.
What is that worth? Let me give you a quick sports analogy. Can you guess, what are the odds of scoring a run in any Major League Baseball game?
Oh, it's got to be.
percentage?
It's got to be low. I mean, considering on base percentage. I mean, if you're hitting 300, if you're hitting 30% of the time, you're a Hall of Famer.
At the start of the inning, 27% chance of scoring a run in an inning.
Wow.
Major League Baseball has introduced starting with a runner on second in extra inning situations. The odds of scoring a run with a runner starting on second base, 61%.
Wow.
So what if I could tell you that you could start off every customer interaction with a runner on second base? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Church bake sale, accountant, car dealership, you're a school teacher looking for jobs out there. If you're looking to reach people and you're looking to gain customers, posting 15-second helpful tips is an incredibly low impact way of getting customers.
Yeah, we say the same thing in politics. Just the number of touches is crucial. I mean, the content is important, but just becoming that household name.
Totally.
And as the more content gets out there, the more of a household name you become,
Right.
the more people trust your brand.
So if you're a known quantity, and one of our former presidents was a celebrity before he took office, and that was an incredible advantage for
Correct.
him. And the same applies in this situation, is that if people feel like they know you, you're starting with a runner on second base, and that's powerful.
Yeah. What about all the different ways, these algorithms on Facebook and Twitter, X, formerly called Twitter, and Instagram and all these things? How should people worry about that? Again, you're talking about people at churches that want to recruit people for bake sales. I mean, should they be worrying about the back end of it and the algorithms and when they post and all that stuff?
I think that one of the things we're seeing is that great content will win out in the end. And so you can have paralysis by analysis. Have you heard that term?
Oh, yeah, of course. Me to the letter.
Hey, Overthinkers International. We'll see you at the next meeting. So basically what we're seeing is that if these people that have paralysis by analysis, they're like, oh, I don't know, I need to post the right. If you make great content, the algorithm will find your audience. TikTok is an incredibly problematic platform for reasons that you've explored in this show before. But one thing that they did that was revolutionary, that was incredibly smart, was that instead of, I'm Sam Chen, I'm going to build a following base, you must get those follows, and then I start to get my content out there, TikTok said, whoa, why don't we just find the ideal audience for this piece of content, regardless of the following? Because a lot of people with 7 followers are making great videos. And so what TikTok did blew up the social media landscape, because that was the first time that an algorithm was pairing content with people regardless of if they chose to follow or not. And so I would say, what we're seeing is that there's a man that lives in the shores of Alabama who I listen to every morning. He posts him reading a Bible quote. He's in the corner of the shot. It's on his porch. He's holding his phone wrong. It's like pointing up at the ceiling. He's barely in the shot. He's unshaven. And he says, good morning, a little breadcrumb for you. Philippians 4:16. And then he reads the verse, and then that's the end of the video. This is an 80-year-old man. His name is Larry Dana Williams. I'm a big fan of his. And he literally every single day posts a short video. Well, guess what? It's authentic. It has value. And he does it repeatedly. And so the algorithm knows exactly who to pair that with. And guess what? Larry now has, I think it's close to 150,000 followers.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And if you were to ask Larry, oh, you got that way because you're a journalism guru, he'd be like, I barely know how to turn on my phone.
Which is true, apparently, from the videos.
Yeah, right. But he's incredible, and I watch his stuff every single day, and he's a perfect example. There's a gentleman by the name of Rohit Roy who is in Australia. He has 8 million followers on TikTok, and every day he says, hello everyone, no fizzy drink for me today, and he gave up soda 3 years ago, and every day he logs on, and he says, today I went for a walk, I went to work, and I stretched my legs in the middle of work because it was a long day at work. And he has 8 million followers because he's delivering value. People are comforted by his demeanor, and they want to cheer him on in his journey.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this at home, my social media handle is at Gorden Voit, GORDONVOIT. Reach out to me. I've got about 1,000 examples I could share with you. I think about this all day long. I'm passionate about it because I've seen it get people results. Post content. You're an expert. God has given you a platform, some area of expertise. If you're the school janitor, you have a platform. Leverage that. You can reach people nowadays with social media. Post content, especially if you're if you're a janitor, you're not looking to get customers. But if you're in any kind of profession where you're looking to reach people or get customers, people are screaming at you how they want to be reached. And the answer is cell phone videos that look like they were shot on a cell phone.
Yeah, incredible. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Watch Lighthouse TV wherever you go. Available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. You can view our in-house studio productions on demand or watch what's on the station right now with our 24/7 live stream. Search Lighthouse TV online on your streaming device or go to our website lighthousetv.org for more information. Lighthouse TV, positively different. Watch Lighthouse TV wherever you go. Available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. You can view our in-house studio productions on demand or watch what's on the station right now with our 24/7 live stream. Search Lighthouse TV online on your streaming device or go to our website lighthousetv.org for more information. Lighthouse TV, positively different.
Welcome back to Face the Issues. Gorden, closing out, first of all, thank you for your expertise on this. And as we close out, you've talked a lot about the authenticity of these videos, right? And this is why the people like the cell phone. It's not because a cell phone is better than one of these cameras we have in studio. It's not. It's really the fact that it looks like it wasn't produced or manufactured.
Right, that people trust it.
Right. I think for a lot of people, they struggle with that authenticity bit. When that camera goes on, there's a bit of, I need to be polished, I need to be professional, or people who don't think they have something to offer. How do you encourage people to be authentic? Because we both know sometimes authenticity can be manufactured and it doesn't come off authentic.
Oh my goodness.
So what does that look like? What does authenticity look like? And why is it so important for us to be authentic?
Sam, if you need an example, I'm it. I was blessed to tell stories on ESPN, MLB Network, CBS Sports, and I was horrible coming out of journalism school at Northwestern on air. I am an example of if you work hard at it and you be authentic, that you can have those things happen. I'm not a freakishly talented communicator. Some people are. I had to work really hard at it. But the lesson I learned to get me to that place of having success in the content world was, like you said, authenticity. I really, really struggled. I was just incredibly awkward on air. I did not like public speaking at all. And I just worked at it. And then what you find is that if you are yourself and you're not trying to be Mr. TV person, people trust you more and you get better results. And so I would say just be you. You are an engaging, amazing person off air. So be one on air too.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Gorden, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you for just sharing this with us. And I think this will be helpful for people in their own journeys, but especially also people that own small businesses, nonprofits, and so forth.
Yeah, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Wow, you are much more talented than you give yourself credit for.
I appreciate that, Sam. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Again, my thanks to Gorden Voit for joining us and for shedding light on something that can really be helpful to small businesses, nonprofits, individuals all over our viewing area in our country. My thanks to each of you for tuning in. We hope to see you again right back here next week. Until then, my name is Sam Chen. On behalf of all of us here at Face the Issues, thank you and good night.